The drama surrounding Gervonta Davis and the Haney family has quietly grown into one of the most revealing soap operas in modern boxing. A story that goes far beyond trash talk and social media trolling and instead exposes the fragile mix of ego, money, loyalty, and control that defines the sport at the highest level. What began as casual jabs online has now spiraled into public humiliation, resurfaced grudges, and a breakdown of relationships that once appeared unshakable. And at the center of it all sits Tank Davis, boxing's most dangerous puncher and one of its most complicated figures. The spark this time came from Bill Haney, a man who has never shied away from inserting himself into the narrative. His attempt to mock Tank's team, framed through flashy cars and subtle digs about financial success, was meant to elevate his son while diminishing Davis. But the response was swift, sharp, and deeply personal. Tank did not just clap back. He dismantled the entire premise, painting the Haneys as desperate, insecure, and out of touch with reality. The embarrassment did not come from insults alone. It came from timing. Bill Haney had recently been one of the voices defending Tank during legal turmoil, speaking about conspiracies and systemic pressure against black fighters. That context made the sudden turn to ridicule feel less like rivalry and more like betrayal. Tank's online response cut deeper because it struck at image. In boxing, perception is currency. When Davis mocked the Haneys for flexing luxury cars while questioning their financial standing, he was not just trolling. He was asserting hierarchy. In one move, he reframed the conversation from competition to credibility. And when he challenged them to bring a contract, he shifted the narrative again. No longer was this about words. It was about action. Yet even that challenge came with uncertainty, because Tank's own career timeline has been clouded by legal delays, canceled fights, and unresolved internal issues. What makes this feud so compelling is that it exists across multiple layers at once. On the surface, it is about Tank and Devin Haney, two elite fighters who fans have begged to see share a ring. Beneath that, it is about Bill Haney's role as architect, agitator, and sometimes antagonist. And deeper still, it is about Tank's fractured relationship with his own team, especially the father figure who helped mold him from teenager into a world champion. The nightclub incident in Las Vegas crystallized how far this rivalry had drifted from sport into something volatile. What should have remained digital suddenly became physical, with Tank and Haney shouting in the street, entourages pulling bodies apart, and phones capturing a moment that felt dangerously close to violence. That confrontation did not erupt in a vacuum. It was the result of years of tension, dating back to sparring sessions, online mockery, and Tank's relentless trolling after Devin's loss to Ryan Garcia. Every jab, every meme, every caption added pressure until it finally spilled over. Tank's confidence has never been subtle. He has openly dismissed Devin and Shakur Stevenson, claiming neither could touch him, insisting that only he could beat himself. That mindset has always been part of his aura, but it also fuels resentment. Devin Haney, for his part, has positioned himself as the technician, the disciplined champion, the one who does things the right way. That contrast in identities makes their potential matchup irresistible. Power versus precision, chaos versus control. But the reality is that both camps are battling something bigger than each other. They are battling narrative dominance. While the Tank-Haney feud dominates headlines, a quieter but more consequential story has unfolded behind the scenes. The tension between Gervonta Davis and his longtime trainer Calvin Ford has exposed cracks that fans had suspected for years. Rumors about money, loyalty, and respect have followed Tank throughout his career, and this year, they finally reached the surface. When Davis entered training camp without Ford, it sent shockwaves through the boxing world. This was not just any trainer. This was the man Tank repeatedly called his father, the man who guided him when no one else did. Tank's explanation was raw and defensive. He claimed his team allowed outside voices to poison the relationship, that media narratives distorted private conversations, and that Ford and Kenny Ellis abandoned him when he needed them most. He framed his anger not as greed, but as hurt. In his eyes, respect mattered more than percentages. He insisted he took care of 4 beyond fight purses, paying bills, buying cars, providing homes. To Tank, that was family. But family dynamics are often the messiest, and when expectations go unspoken, resentment grows. Ford and Ellis publicly denied claims that Tank failed to pay them, emphasizing loyalty and lifelong bonds. Their words attempted to calm the storm, but they also avoided specifics, leaving fans to read between the lines. In boxing, silence often speaks louder than denial. The truth likely exists somewhere in the middle, shaped by miscommunication, ego, and exhaustion. What is clear is that something shifted long before the Lamont Roach fight. The tension in the corner that night, the visible frustration, the public scolding, all hinted at unresolved conflict that had been brewing for months. Tank's reaction in the ring, snapping at Ford, refusing advice, signaled more than irritation. It signaled a fighter asserting independence, perhaps prematurely. Fighters grow, but separation from foundational figures is rarely clean. The boxing world has seen this story before. When guidance fades before wisdom replaces it, talent can drift. That is why fans are divided. Some see Tank as ungrateful. Others see him as a grown man fighting to reclaim control over his life. Layered on top of all this is Tank's own internal struggle. His openness about mental health, fatherhood, and the fear of losing his edge if he seeks peace adds another dimension to the story. He is not just fighting opponents. He is fighting himself. The desire to step away, to soften, to be present for his children clashes with the identity that made him great. That contradiction sits at the heart of every decision he makes. And so the question lingers. Where does this all lead? Does the chaos push Tank back into focus, reigniting the fire that made him unstoppable? Or does it continue to fracture his foundation, delaying the biggest fights fans crave? A showdown with Devin Haney feels inevitable, yet impossibly distant, trapped between egos, contracts, and unresolved personal battles. Boxing has always thrived on drama, but this story cuts deeper because it is human. Pride, loyalty, money, family, betrayal, and ambition all collide here. There are no clean heroes or villains, only flawed people navigating pressure at the highest level. Now it's your turn. Do you believe Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney will ever settle this rivalry in the ring? Or has the chaos behind the scenes pushed that fight further away than ever? Is Tank right to assert independence from his longtime team? Or is he risking everything that made him great? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want the most detailed, story-driven breakdowns of boxing's biggest feuds and hidden dramas, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. The next chapter is coming fast, and it won't be quiet.